All right, on this Garlic Marketing Show, we're going to talk about agency life. The reason that you're getting stuck, the reason you're not taking home money, the reason you can't get past a certain point of revenue, the reason that you just hate your life, and and what to do about it, and how to eventually exit and take home some money. I've got Chris Martinez from Bloom. Chris, say hi.
Hi.
And of course, this is all brought to you by videocasestory.com. One of the most important things that we'll talk about today is having a story of success to tell as you're going out and sell your agency service. Make sure to go to videocasestory.com/sales to learn how to use case stories in your sales to land 10 more clients. All right, let's get started.
My name is Gino Wickman. I was introduced to Ian, and that's what brought me into this video world and got me embracing this video world. And Ian did exactly what I hoped. He got me really comfortable with putting videos out to the world and having a great strategy around putting videos out to the world, because there's so much more than just shooting a video. And so the way that he positions those videos, optimizes those videos, he's done a great job.
All right.
So tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah. I don't know if I've told you this part of the story, so I'll go back to 2007. That's kind of like when I started my entrepreneurial journey. So my dad died of pancreatic cancer in January. It'll be 18 years actually on Friday, January 10th. He was diagnosed and died within a month. And then after that, I decided that I was going to start my entrepreneurial journey. I had this idea to start a soccer magazine. So I've always been a big soccer fan and player. And so I started this print soccer magazine in 2007. And the irony of that is that if I would have started like a website or a blog or something like that, it probably would have been successful. But I started a print publication in 2007, and within 18 months it was bust, and I lost everything, and I actually owed a bunch of money to creditors and stuff. And so fast forward, now we're at like 2009, and me being an entrepreneur, I get the idea for this new project, and I was like, I need a website. I didn't know how to build one. I asked my buddy, how do you build websites? Because he had built one for his girlfriend at the time, who was a fitness trainer. And you remember like WordPress back in the day? They had a sidebar.
Yeah.
And at the bottom they'd have like a search button, and it'd say powered by WordPress. So that's how I was like, okay, what's this WordPress thing? He's like, go ahead and figure it out on your own. So I was like angry because I'm like, dude, why can't you just help me? Like, he's like, you should do it on your own. So I Google, and I found these videos that weren't even on YouTube. It was some other random platform back in 2009, and I learned how to build a website over the course of a weekend. I taught myself how to do it. That grew into...
I'm sure it was the most beautiful website ever.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. I won a couple awards for it. So that turned into me learning how to drive traffic, right? And I ended up hiring Russell Brunson. At the time, he had a company called .com Secrets, and they had a coaching program. So I paid $500 a month to learn how to drive traffic. Keep in mind, I'm still paying off debt from my previous, failed business. Then I got a job in online advertising. I worked for a company called Reach Local, selling PPC management. I don't know if you know. And then that turned into me becoming, actually at Reach Local, I came up with the idea for my first agency. And I started that agency with another 2 partners. And then I ended up working for another newspaper, actually. I was their online ad sales manager. And then I got let go. And then that was the sign to do my agency full time. So this is 2013. I started the agency in 2012. 2013, I go full time in the agency. 2015, I have this team in the Philippines. We've got like 50 or 60 clients, right? And I'm living in San Diego, and I'm like, I bet you I can build a team down in Tijuana, in Mexico, right? So much closer. And nobody was doing anything in Latin America back then. It was really, really hard to find talent. It was really hard to send money. And so I ended up setting up a business down in Mexico. We ended up recruiting people, and I built this little team. And then this little team ran my agency, and we went from 50 or 60 clients to over 220.
Wow.
And it was awesome, right? It was like this hidden gem of talent. And so then I'm doing that until 2017. 2017, I hear this interview of Russ Perry, who started Design Pickle.
Yep.
All right. Russ Perry's doing unlimited design. He had a team in the Philippines, flat rate. I was like, man, that sounds like a good idea. I wonder if I can do that using design and development with my team in Mexico.
Yeah.
So I run ads on Facebook, $500 unlimited design and development. And we started getting clients. I was like, okay, cool, this might work.
Yeah.
January of 2018, I end up getting a booth at Traffic and Conversion. From that one booth, we got like 400 grand in business from that one conference.
Yeah.
So then Dude, that outsourcing company is called Dude, starts to take off, and we grew that. We ended up having over 100 employees. Fast forward, another evolution starts to happen, 2022, right? We're getting out of COVID, and our clients start asking us not just for outsourced staff, but they start asking us for advice on how to run the company, how to build out processes, how to train people, how to improve their profitability. And so that's kind of where our consulting product came out of. And then last year, 2024, we said, hey, we're done doing the outsourcing. Let's go all in on management consulting. We rebranded. Now we're called Bloom.
Gotcha.
So, very typical,
Yeah, no, it
digital
makes sense.
marketing path.
At what point when you were growing the agency, what were the thresholds? Because there are thresholds. Like you hit certain points and you fall back, and you hit certain point and fall back, and you've got to get past that.
Right.
What were the big 2 or 3 things that got you to 200 clients?
Yeah, well, the first thing is getting to the first 25,000 in revenue is really, really hard. Like you're basically in startup mode, just grinding and trying to find product market fit and trying to build out a team that can do the work, and you're trying to build out just your first level of SOPs and trying to hire the staff that can do that type of work, and then also trying to manage the relationships with the clients, right? So that you're not churning out clients just as quickly as they're coming in, that they're not going out the back door. So that is the first, what do we call a level, is getting to 25, 30 grand, and then being able to stay there for at least 3 months, right? Because we see a lot of people that, especially in that first year, actually, they'll grow really fast,
And
then they'll tank.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as those contracts after that first year start coming due, they just start seeing cancellation after cancellation. So you have to be able to maintain that level. Then it's going from 30 grand to, let's just say, 75, even maybe up into $1 million. Actually, let's take that back. Let's go from 30 grand to right around 60 grand. That's also really difficult, right? Because now the business is a little bit more established. You've got some systems and processes in place. You got a team, but you probably don't have any department heads.
Yeah.
Right? So you're still overseeing all the different departments in the company. Most likely you don't even have those departments defined, right? And you're making it work, but it's still a lot of time and effort from the owner, right? Then as you get into that $1 million a year run rate, so 80 grand a month, to even up to $2-3 million a year in revenue, that's really, really hard. That is where
You just keep saying it's hard.
well, let me just explain. It is fucking hard, right? This is one of the things that bothers me in the industry is when people say that it's easy, that you're going to have overnight millionaires, buy my course, da 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 da. It's bullshit.
It is.
It's one of the hardest things that you can do.
Yeah.
This business is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Partly because the barrier to entry is so low, right?
Yep.
And hopefully we can talk about this later, but you're competing with people that don't know what they're doing, and yet they're promising the same thing to the clients that you are, assuming that you do know what you're doing.
Yeah.
The clients don't know the difference,
Yep.
right?
I see that all the time.
And our industry has never had a worse reputation. Literally every business owner out there has legitimately been taken advantage of and lied to and ripped off by some digital marketing person.
Yeah.
Right? So that just compounds the difficulty of running this business. On top of that, we have to find staff, and
Which
it's
is hard.
really, really hard, right? It's really hard to find people that will actually follow directions, that'll show up, that are consistent.
Well, and you have to train them.
And you have to train them.
Yeah.
And most of us have never had any background, or we've never been trained in how to hire, how to train, how to develop employee growth plans. We don't know about profitability and what our margins should be. So most agency owners start out, they're really good at some technical thing, or maybe they're a really good marketer, or maybe they like love sales or something like that.
Yeah.
And
I
eventually,
think those are, and that's an important thing. It's like there's 3 different types of people
exactly.
that I see out there,
Yeah.
right? And because it's 3 different, and it's also leads to 3 different problems, doesn't it?
There will be a gap depending on who you are and like your background. Eventually, there's going to be a gap, and that's usually where we'll see that in that $1 million-ish range, because now it's like, dude, we got something that's real. We've got employees. Maybe you've got, you know, between contractors and white label partners, you've probably got 15 different people, 15, 20 people that you're managing. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have to have boring ass shit like weekly leadership team meetings. You have to have an org chart.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have budgets. The majority of clients that come to us now that need like management consulting help, they've never created a budget before. And meanwhile, they expect their manager to, you know, be able to hit a deadline and hire people and do all of this. And there's no like, hey, I need you to do it within this budget.
Yeah.
Right?
And all of a sudden their money's gone.
And the money's gone.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of people actually, they make more money prior to getting to $1 million in revenue. And now they're working, you know, just as hard. The revenue's looking great, but there's not anything left over for them at the end. And it's super, super frustrating.
Super fresh. Yeah. Because you're working harder, you have the revenue, and now you also have that hamster wheel because you have employees.
Yeah. And then you can't even walk away because you're like, you've got, you know, 60, 70 clients and you're trapped. And it's like, if I step away, then the business is going to fail and I'm going to have 60, 70 angry people. And if you work in a niche, they're going to go tell everybody else in the niche that you're full of shit. And then the whole thing feels like it could go up in flames overnight. It sucks.
And okay, so what problem do you fix first when you're looking at that?
Yeah, I think our approach, right, is we have to, because every agency is different, like what their challenges are different, the owners are different, right, the skill sets are different. The first thing that I would do is I would look at the team and I would look at the numbers, right? And so I would look at who do we have and just do a full org chart. Like if you've never read Traction or, you know, like if you read Traction or Scale Up or whatever, it's somebody who's going to teach you about the departmental structure of a business.
Yep.
And so in marketing agencies, we typically have the CEO, we have operations, which handles all the fulfillment. We have customer experience or account management, that's another way you can call it. We have HR, finance, and then marketing and sales, right? Those are typically the departments that we have. Marketing and sales is who's doing lead generation for our agency, not for the clients.
Yep.
You know, that's fulfillment operations. But who's doing lead generation for our agency and then who's turning those leads into paying clients, right? So identify who's on the team and then what are the gaps. And a lot of the times we'll see that the owner is running all of those departments. And so they're like not even half-assing. They're like 10% assing each one of those departments because there's just not enough hours in the day, right?
Yep.
So you just have to list out who is on the team and who do you need and what do you need those people to do. I would also look at the existing team members that you have and really be honest and see, like, are these people doing what we need them to do? Because a lot of the times by the time you get to $1 million, you've got people that have been with you from the beginning and they're not the right people anymore.
Yep.
And they're never going to get there. It's really, really difficult.
Oh yeah. I've been there many times.
Yeah, I know you have.
Yeah. It's an important thing to realize.
So that would be the first step. The second step is you got to look at the numbers. And this is where you can hire somebody, if you're not good at it, right? Like pull up at least 12 months of P&Ls and look at what your revenue is, look at what your gross margin is, basically figure out how much you're spending to get projects out the door, and then look at what your net is at the end of the day.
Yep.
And take into consideration what you're being paid.
That's another important thing that most of them don't.
Yeah, like, well, because agency owners are like the nicest people in the world, and we want to see everybody else get paid before we pay ourselves. But like, you know, if you're not making 20% of the total revenue as your monthly salary, then something's wrong, because it's too dang hard.
Yeah.
Like you got to make money.
Yeah, you can go out and get a job making 4 times as much.
And way less stress.
Yeah.
Right? I was kind of like of the mindset that, you know, like, I'm putting it all back into the business and, you know, and that's fine. You got to do that for a little while. But eventually I wanted to buy a house. And then I, give my tax returns to the mortgage guy. He's like, dude, you're not going to get approved for shit. Like I live in San Diego. A shoebox is like $500,000.
Yes.
Actually, I don't even know if you can find a shoebox for $500,000.
Definitely not Jordan's.
Yeah. So eventually, you're going to need to get paid, right? And I was lucky. Like when I started my agency, I didn't have a family. I didn't even get married until 3 years ago. I was 41 when I got married. That's almost 4 years ago. and so, I sacrificed a lot, but the owner's got to get paid,
Yeah.
and then also once you start to get towards that million mark, you also start to realize, hey, this is a business that I could sell one day.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this thing has real potential. And so by looking at the numbers, you can see like for me to make my dreams come true of being able to sell the business for $5 million, $10 million, $20 million, where do I stand today? Mm-hmm. And what needs to change for me to get from here to there, right? And then you can start to actually put together a plan. It's kind of like if you had a health problem, right? The doctor's going to run a bunch of tests. They're going to have you,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to run blood tests. They're going to look at all the markers and see what's going right, what's going wrong. And then you can decide, okay, what do we need to fix first, right? Because everybody's different.
When it comes to sales, because I think this is one of the things I hear so much is like people think that they're going to hire a salesperson. And I'm like, I've been in sales organizations and where they have millions of dollars of budgets just to hire, and they do it wrong.
Oh, yeah.
What's your opinion on like when should an owner be exiting sales?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I agree with you on the sales hiring challenges. One of the biggest mistakes that owners make, and this is kind of across the board, is that they want to hire somebody to build out an entire system.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't have any, sales systems and process. I don't have a slide deck. I don't have a qualification process. I don't have any of this stuff. I'm going to hire this person and they're going to do it all for me. And that never freaking works.
No.
Ever.
I mean, no, because it's like if they can do that,
they would be an owner.
An owner, or they're being paid $1 million somewhere else.
Exactly. So what you need to do first is you need to create version 1 of the sales process, right? Like write down the needs analysis questions that you need to be asked, right? Create a simple slide deck, right? Do all that stuff, just version 1. Then you can look at, okay, am I ready to hire a salesperson? It's very expensive. Like the market for salespeople is crazy expensive. I started in sales.
Yeah.
My first job out of college.
Yeah, and that I think that because that's that different types of, you either have a technician or a salesperson leading an agency is what I've seen.
Right.
And I mean, you were both because you did the technical standpoint, but to your point, I mean, hiring a salesperson's not just expensive to have them; it's expensive to hire them and train them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So I would say, when you get to that $1 million mark in revenue, that's when you should start considering it. But you also have to consider lead flow, because at least right now, it's very difficult to find salespeople that are also very good hunters.
Yeah, and there's two different types.
Yeah, so you usually have your closers, and then you have your people that are really good for the lead generation that, they go out and hunt and book appointments. If you don't have solid lead flow coming in, it's going to be very difficult to feed that hunter, right?
Yeah.
That closer, they're good. Like they will pay for themselves 10 times over, but they need at least some leads coming through, right? And so they can turn those leads and nurture them and turn those into paying customers, right?
And the right leads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So I usually say, let's solve the lead generation problem first. Now, if you don't have good leads, why is that? And that actually, a lot of the times goes back to the operations side. Because my first job out of college, I worked for Pitney Bowes. You remember those guys?
Yeah.
Selling postage machines?
Yeah.
Nobody gave a shit about that, right? And I was good at that. Like I got really good. I got really, really good training. Marketing agency services are insanely easy to sell when you think about it. Like, let's just break down what a marketing agency does, right? At its root, right, at the base of what we do, we are making other people money.
Yeah.
It's all about ROI, right? I don't care if you consider yourself a branding agency or a creative agency or a lead gen agency or even a web development agency. The person is hiring you. They're going to buy your website because they want that website to make them more money.
Yep.
They're going to buy your billboard ad and put Cristiano Ronaldo in underwear on the billboard because they expect that to make them more money. So
That's
no matter,
expensive.
they made a shitload of money for them, I'm sure. And so for us, when they hire us and they give us $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, even $500 a month, they expect that they're giving us this money, and then in return, we're going to work some magic, and then that money's going to come back with a lot more friends.
Yep.
Right? So if you're getting results for clients consistently, if they're giving you money and they're getting a lot more money in return, and you have documented results of that, it's the easiest thing to sell.
Yeah. It's like case stories.
Follow our
That's
system.
what we do.
Yeah, you give me the money, you follow our system, you do exactly what I tell you to do, and you will make more. You will make this much more money.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you just have that story, you go out and tell the story.
Exactly.
And and I think that's, I know when I first started consulting SEO, I'd talk about SEO, blah, blah, blah. No one cared.
Nobody cared.
Well, you tell a story, it's like, hey, this person got this case from this bit, and this person got this case, and this person got this case. And they're like, oh, I want that.
I want that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, but it's an important thing I think so many people skip over. And to your point, yeah, and so when you're hitting that point and you're thinking about exits, and how are you looking at sales and marketing and the exit and how they go together?
Yeah. So the first and the last thing that people are going to look at is the profit.
Yeah.
Right? Your EBITDA. Like they're going to look at that number and they're going to see, okay, what are you doing in revenue? And then at the end of the day, after all expenses are paid, what's left over?
Yeah.
Right? And so if you have solid lead generation and good, new client acquisition, that will help you. But at the same time, like we have a client that we're going to help sell now, and they've been growing steadily. Like they're a really, really solid company. They don't really have that much lead flow coming through, right? Or actually, they're not closing deals. They have a huge database of people that have been interested in them, but they've never really focused on revenue generation, like new client acquisition. They don't have sales quotas, right? And so the business is great in spite of that.
Yeah.
What that
I love that in
means,
spite
though,
of that.
what because they have a great product, right? So like going back to that churn or that like if you can't sell, like do you have a good product? If you have a great product, then that's first and foremost.
Yeah.
Right? Like so they have this company has a great product, and now when we go to sell the company, the story that we're going to tell is, hey, we have a great product, we have great revenue, we have great EBITDA, in spite of not having solid sales processes in place. If you come in and buy us and just tap into our database, you can grow the revenue by 3x in the next year, just by putting 2 hungry sales people in there.
Yeah.
Right? So now that will help get them a higher multiple, right? And a bigger exit. So it is important, but I do want to stress the importance of having a great product, because I think our industry has gotten away from that on focusing on, are we actually getting results for clients?
Yeah.
I heard Perry Belcher's the one who's like running this conference.
Yeah.
And he said, too many marketers are trying to polish a turd. Like, isn't that the case where they like say like, oh man, like I just need more leads. I just need more leads. in my
I need
agency."
more leads. Yeah.
No, keep the freaking clients that you have. Get them results.
Yeah.
Focus on that first. You have to get clients results.
Well, they need more leads, but then they have no stories to sell those leads. They have no sales system.
They have no stories though because they don't get any freaking results, dude.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I see so many people that are just like
They're
trying to
hardcore
get the
sales.
next. They're just trying to get the next sale.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, like you are ripping people off. They're coming to you and they're saying, hey, can you help me solve this problem? I'm going to give you my money, right? And you're promising them the world, and yet you don't even know how to do that yet.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. You shouldn't do that. You can't do that in any other industry. Can you imagine that your toilet's broken, right?
Yeah.
And you find a plumber, and you have the plumber come over, and he's like, okay, cool, that's going to be $1,000. All right, perfect. He goes in there, he does his work, he comes out, he gives you the bill for the $1,000, and then he's like, yeah, I couldn't fix it. Sometimes I just can't fix toilets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the
You
tough
beat the
part.
shit out of that guy.
That's the tough part about marketing, though, because it doesn't always work perfectly. But
Right.
you know, but you need to have some because I mean, I know we like there's been clients that it didn't work perfectly for,
Right.
but at least you need to have some result.
Yes, some results, and we do control the parameters, right? So I know for a fact, you know, and I own 2 more agencies now, by the way. I have equity in 2 and about to be 3, actually. So in our agencies and all the other agencies that I've worked with, when there are clients that are not performing, it's because the clients aren't doing what the fuck we tell them to do, right?
Yeah.
So can't we just cancel them? Can't we say at the beginning, like we were talking about this before we started, like setting the expectations. This is what we're going to do. This is our process.
Yeah.
And if you don't follow the process, guess what? You're not going to get results, and we're not going to work together anymore. That's how I work. That's why I have such good results for the clients, is because they follow my process. And if you don't, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Right? We can say that, but we're too terrified to say that. We're too terrified to say no. Right? We'd rather like roll the dice and let them fuck up our process than just saying no. And at the same time with turning away clients, people that you know that aren't going to be a good fit.
Yep.
And I'm saying that because I've done the same thing too. It's hard to make that call, especially when you're hurting for money. You'll take on a project and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm saying it's better to say no.
Yeah. And yeah, if you do it right, you can charge more.
Yes.
And with the right clients, and if you get them the results, you can charge more. And we talk about this all the time. It's a case story flywheel. You get better at one thing, it becomes easier. You tell that story, you charge more to the right clients.
Yeah.
But people get stuck in that loop of, I'm just going to, and it happens in every industry too, because I've seen it with attorneys too, where there's things called door lawyers. Anything that comes through the door, they take. And so they get them kind of mediocre results, and no one's ever happy.
Right.
And they're spinning their wheels. And it happens in every industry. But to your point, there's so many people that are coming in and doing this. Now, when someone's ready to, like, at what point should they be thinking about exit? Just right away?
At least 2 years before.
Okay.
At least 2 years before. The buyer is going to look at 3 years of financials. So they're going to look back 3 years, and they're also going to look 3 years forward, right? And this is part of the problem, is that people aren't taking that into consideration. I think if you're not building your business to sell from day one, you're absolutely wasting your time.
Yeah.
Because like, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? You're building this business and you get sick and you can't work, or you die, right? And then your family has to pick up the pieces and deal with the grief, but also sell this business that you built. And if you have not structured it properly, it will be a massive problem for them. When my dad died, he had financial things, because my dad wasn't very good with money, right? I didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial household. I didn't learn about finances or anything. So when he died, he had a lot of untied up stuff. And it was a huge burden for my stepmother and for us too, right? So like, as an agency owner, the responsible thing to do is to build it to sell from day one.
Yep.
Right? So when you do it like that, then when it does come time to sell, whether that be from some crazy unfortunate circumstance or because you're just tired and you just don't want to do this anymore, you've already got your numbers set up.
Yeah. Or you're just, I mean, you're like, I enjoy what I did, but I'm time to move on.
I'm ready for the next. And that will happen. Actually,
Yeah.
I met a guy yesterday, and he's like 4 years into his business. He's like, I don't think I would ever want to sell. I'm like, you will. Trust me. You will. It's just, it's tiring, right? And that's okay. But why not recognize that that's going to happen one day and start to set it up from the beginning? So like, simple things that you can do, hire a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Right? Hire a bookkeeper, get your finances, get your P&Ls every single month, and review those. Actually, you don't even need to review them. As long as you have them, then that's okay.
Yep.
We get clients that come to us, they've been in business for years. They have never created a P&L.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And those ones are doing like $750,000 a year in revenue, right? Not very profitable.
No.
Not very systematized.
You don't know where this, like, I got money leaking out through here and leaking out through here. And
actually, I did a call with this guy because he wanted to sell, and he responded to an email that I sent out or something like that. And so I'm talking to him, and I was like, okay, well, how much revenue did you do last year? And he's like, I did like 750,000. I'm like, oh, cool. Do you have your P&Ls? You want to pull it up? Or like, can you log in your QuickBooks or something?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't really have that information. I was like, okay. And then we're talking, and I can tell like he's on this computer, like on the Zoom trying to find that info. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh wait, I have access. I did 1.2 million last year. How do you not know this?
I mean, that's a big difference.
These are the people that are out there.
Yeah.
Right? And he's not a bad guy, right?
No, it's just.
But he's running his business like a hobby, right? And he's doing some decent revenue, obviously, living a good lifestyle, you know. But now he wants to sell, and it's like, dude, like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed before you can even get anything, because his net was terrible. And I had to tell him, like, this is what's unfortunate is when you tell somebody, like, you know, I think you'd be lucky if you got 300 grand for this business.
Yeah.
Based on what you see in the numbers right now, I think you would be fortunate to get 300 grand. And then they get angry at me, but I'm just telling them the truth.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
I mean, you can fix it up.
You can.
And in 18 months from now, change it.
You can. Part of that, though, is the owner has to be willing to change as well, right? It's just not magically going to happen. You're the top person, right? So you've got to be willing to invest in the changes that need to be made, and you also have to be willing to run the business a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Right. It's just the way that it goes, you know. Some people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, if you want something different, you got to do something different.
there you go. I mean, it seems obvious to me.
Awesome, Chris. So, how does someone get in contact with you if they want to exit their business, they hate their agency, or they're making a ton of money and they don't know how much money?
Even if they don't think that they want to exit now or in 2 years, right? If it's a one-day type of thing, and you want to just make sure that you're set up the right way and kind of just get a more clear picture of what it's going to take and what your gaps are, they can go to our website. It's bloompartners.io. I also have a new book. We didn't even talk about this.
No.
So I have a new book. It's called Facts Not Feelings. It's my 4th book.
Awesome.
I'm really excited about this one because it's the first one that I wanted to do it like this style where it's like a story, right? Like a fable.
Yep.
And it's a story of this agency owner named Alex. And his agency, you know, like won awards and like fancy on the outside, but on the inside it's a freaking disaster. And he's like on the verge of going out of business. He reaches out to a mentor, and the mentor gives him the guidance, and they turn it around, and then he gets an offer.
Is it out?
It's out.
Is
So
it
you
on
can
Amazon?
go to It's on Amazon. Yeah, you can go to Amazon and go grab a copy of it on Amazon.
Do you have an audiobook?
I have not yet, but I don't know when this is going to air, but I will have
Are
an
you going to
audiobook.
read it?
I might.
You should.
Okay, I will.
Yes.
I can do different voices too.
That'd be hilarious.
I'm going to make Alex British.
Oh my God.
Hello. Hello, governor. You weren't expecting that one. Don't edit that shit out.
I'm not going to. All right. Well, thank you all. Make sure to contact Chris and check out his book. Get his book, and if you're
Facts
ready,
Not Feelings.
Facts Not Feelings. If you're ready to think about eventually selling your agency, or you want to start making more money, give Chris a call. Chris, thanks so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
Thank you.
And thank you all for taking Chris and I on your journey and making us part of your story. This has been Ian Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.